Working on this project, I remember something my grandmother used to say to me all the time whenever she would see me. She'd say, you know, you can build a radio out of a Quaker Oats box. That was it, folks. That's as much as she could relate to me. Now, she had a lot of grandchildren, and one time my mother said to her, oh, he really enjoyed the pea soup you made. So my grandmother used to send me pea soup that I didn't like, and each time I had to thank her for it. Yeah, I had a lot of fun growing up. So anyway, if you remember, I kept saying, there's got to be a way to make a module that plugs in a BC 454. Yeah, 454, which is this one. This is 3 megahertz to 6 megahertz. Now, the module has to take this wacky IF can, which is 1.415, and mix with an oscillator. Here's a crystal oscillator on there. It's 960 kilohertz. Okay? When this wacky 1.415 mixes with 960 kilohertz, you get 455 out. You come over off this wire, off the plate, and you come over to this BC-453, and you then have a triple converted radio, very narrow. Okay? This becomes your Q5er. Okay? And I originally was plugging the module up in this tube up here, which is the BFO detector. And the plate voltage wasn't enough to drive my module. So then I redid the module using a 12BE6. And it's the same as on the project for Q5er. The guy builds an entire receiver using this. And I kept saying to myself, we already got a receiver. All we have to do is convert the IF to 455. You know, we don't have to build a dial and tuning capacitors and coils and everything. And I kept saying to myself, I wonder why they never did that. Well, reading all the available projects on the command radios, a lot of them are copycat ones. They copy someone else's. And they start off by making the project bigger by gutting stuff out of the radio, which is a big mistake. Okay? But that's the way it works. Okay? To really figure something out like this, this took a long time. My first success, I had to grab voltage off the power supply because the plate voltage on the detector tube, BFO tube, that's slash BFO tube, didn't have enough juice to run the tube. So then I kept thinking, it was such a disaster. I said, you know what, I got a complete IF over here. I just need some of the IF over here to mix with this. So this is triple conversion radio when you use these two. Now I know someone's like, let's see it work. That's not what this is about. This is an advanced video for someone that's really out there, really likes to think, really likes to dig in on a deep project. Now I'm going to warn you, when you find that Q5er project, very carefully read the parts description. There's 2 mistakes in the schematic, and he tells you about it down in the parts list. So I could not get this to oscillate. He puts a 0.005 microfarad cap in a place where there should be a 47 picofarad or 47 microfarad. Okay, and then I finally got it working. And then as far as test equipment, I do have a frequency counter. I do have a scope, but I want to show you how I do troubleshoot. Now let me make sure I get this in the right way. All right, this is my little antenna. It's off the plate. I don't have a capacitor. All right, now I have my my DX390 set up, and we're about to put that on. We're going to put that on 960. All right, it's on 960 AM, and that's the frequency. Thank you, whatever that is in the neighborhood. Okay, 960 is the mixer oscillator. I get these noises from either the computer that's on behind me or something else. So anyway, let's throw this on, and you should see this go dead because that oscillator is going to come in here and it's going to knock this out, whatever that is. Okay, gone. All right, so the 960 kilohertz oscillator is now oscillating. The frequency, let's go on to long wave on 455. Okay, now that's CHU Canada coming off this wire at 455 and going on to my super test bed, which is my DX390. Okay, so my module is 100% functional. Okay, let me make sure I shut it off, and it's a little bit of wiggling to get it out, but that's what I was shooting for. Now a lot of you are like, let's see it work, right? That's not what I'm about. I wanted to see if I could make a module that would allow you to pair two of these radios together and make a really good receiver. Okay? And I kept saying, why didn't those guys back in those days do something like this? Okay, now I picked the wrong place to put it in, and after I thought about it a while, I kept saying, after looking at other people's circuit, I really don't need that. I only need the front end of the radio, the first mixer. There's a mixer in here that produces the 1.415. And then I come in here at the second IF, I pull out the 1.415 and I mix it with 960 kilohertz, and out comes 455. And then you bring it over here to your BC-453. These numbers mess me up. I'm dyslexic. Well, anyway, and I also want to tell you guys, you know, like guys are like, well, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? Did you notice the two power supplies sitting on the back of this radios? Let's get them in the frame. See, my radios have power supplies on them. Okay? All my radios have been recapped. I didn't align them. I don't touch nothing on a radio. Okay? I learned that only if a radio's been bodged by someone do I touch the alignment. All right? But this is what I want. This is what I thought about. Okay? I don't know if you can understand that. That's how I think. How come? What if? Okay? And then once you see it work, there are devils in the details. Like there's a little bit of whistle noise. It needs some shielding. It needs a piece of shielded wire. It probably needs a capacitor from the plate voltage to ground. Oh, and by the way, this is that's an octal socket off of a metal tube. And I drilled two holes in the bottom, and it's bolts. And there's a little piece of plastic. And then this tube mounts on the piece of plastic. Okay? That's how I made it. But that's what I thought about. And I got to clean up. I made such a mess making this. And the fact that the guy used the wrong component in the schematic, it drove me nuts. You know, I started cutting stuff, and then finally I'm sitting there, I'm reading how the circuit works, and then I noticed in the parts nomenclature, they would call it, the parts list, that the guy mentions that the schematic is wrong. I'm like, in two places it was wrong. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then I changed the capacitor, and then the oscillator came right on. And then I knew I was there. Because I had built a model of this before and had it up in this position, and it did work. But I had to get the voltage from the power supply over here. And some people would go, yeah, you take a wire off the power supply. I didn't want that. I wanted this to be a module where you pull out the 6SK7 and you stick this in and you bring your wire over to the other radio, and now you got a triple conversion radio. Go through it in your head what I actually did. This is a converter. Okay? There's already a converter in here, and there's another converter in here. So it's triple tuned radio, narrow, because of this BC-453. It's very narrow. It's 85 kilohertz, I believe, narrow. Okay, so back in those days, they could have really made a really good receiver if somebody had gone this route, but they didn't. And I told you, I got some articles published in magazines. As a kid, I wanted to be one of those people. And then I talked to Don Lancaster, the guru of electronics, several times on the phone. And he basically told me I was doing everything the hard way. That most of his articles, someone would send him the parts and then tell him, could you make an article around the parts? And they had the idea. All he had to do was do some of the work. And I was telling what I was doing. He says, you're doing everything. I said, well, yeah. He goes, you're never going to really make any money like that. Now, I did have a Piker controller board for CNC that I should have marketed a little bit better at the time, but it was ruffling people's feathers. They were emailing me nasty. That's part of the game. And I'm not that kind of person. I didn't want to upset anybody. You'll never make money in life or be anybody in life if you're not willing to upset other people. See, I was raised not to upset other people. And they upset you, though. That's how it works. You become a target. And your demeanor, your body language gets all screwed up, trying to be a nice guy. And people will they can just spot you a mile away. Okay? But that was the goal. Here it is. Now I just have to clean up. Maybe go back into this a little bit more. And but that's how I think. Like, you know, can you just drop a module in here? You know, and a wire coming out. You know, that's how I think. And I wanted to show you this because that's what I do. And I have power supplies to go on the back of all my command radios. All my command radios have been recapped. Okay, and the front end tuning capacitor has been re-oiled and cleaned. Okay, because they do jam up. You get one of these radios, and it's going to become a keepsake. You're going to put it in a closet and go, boy, I should have never bought that. And I see people outbid me all the time on eBay. They grab one of these things and they have no clue what they're looking at. And I send away for some wacky stuff. You know, if I see something that goes with a command radio and nobody's bidding on it, I grab it just so I'll know what it's for. And but that's what I want to show you. You know, to inspire you. You know, I did the video on the power supply, which I think is quite unique compared to everybody else's same old, same old. Okay, my videos, I try to make something that's not been done before. Okay, other people just copy, especially that call center country. Those people, all they do is steal ideas and copy. Oh, and they fake a lot of stuff. Their perpetual motion. I find those videos really annoying. And then there's the one kid, he goes walking along a stream and he'll pick something out of the stream, some type of electronic equipment. And you can see it's been painted with dirt. And then he makes believe he fixes it. That's really annoying. He gets 1 million views, but what are you going to do? People go through life and they cheat. And once again, I want to remind you of what my grandmother used to say. You know, you can make a radio out of a Quaker Oats box. I think that's it. All right, that's it.